Well, well, well. So, hello, Internet. How the fuck are you doing? This is Nephente. Bit of a sore throat. Yeah, I attribute it to hay fever rather than the ongoing pandemic, which I think I've already had, statistically speaking, and so forth. Uh, so it's good to see you guys again. As you might have noticed, I don't make events or stuff prior to going online because I think that feels a little much because it's basically, I mean, it's just me and I'm gonna be here talking and doesn't feel like the maybe biggest event ever. But in any case, you guys are warmly welcome. And I'm going to be here babbling for a bit. And I also assume that I will have a good dear friend joining. And we're also going to talk a little bit. And if you think I'm even more unfocused than normally, it's because I have the usual problem, which means that I've lost the chat. But I'll find it. In any case, how are you guys doing out there in internet land? Are you okay? I certainly hope so. I mean, we can only do what we do, and that is to, wash our hands, keep distance, and let time pass, let the healthcare sector do what they do, and let scientists do what they do, and that is hopefully discover a fantastic vaccine. But in the meantime, we'll have to just work our way through it. And I see, Jay Cole, you actually, prior to this chat, you asked me, first off, you said, oh, it would be nice to see that fucking band list of yours, which I mentioned a few times, but never really got around to it. We'll see if I make it today. At least I'll start. The problem with lists, when you're supposed to, write down stuff you like, is that the list keeps on growing. So, but then again, we seem to be stuck in this limbo state for some time. So hopefully I'll be able to work my way through that list step by step, and hopefully there will be 1 or 2 or 10 bands that you discover that you might not have heard of before. I will of course not put obvious stuff there that you already should know about. I mean, it's not necessary for me to mention Bethane. You know of them, or Marduk and so forth. But there's so many other bands in the true underground. And I see we also got a Francisco from El Salvador. Greetings in return from a really cold and nasty Stockholm. It's supposed to be spring here now, and it's like 5 degrees centigrade. It's like, well, it's like a basic Swedish winter, and the basic Swedish summer would at least be 15 degrees plus. But this is gray and it's fucking boring. And salutations, Nick, from the US. It's always fun to see, people dropping by from all over the globe. And just because we have this little thing called music together, and I have the privilege of sitting here and babbling just because I'm fortunate enough to be making some music that you guys actually paid some attention to, which is awesome. But I will try to be, like a modern web person here, and also pay much better attention to the chat. The social distancing thing. I mean, we're all fed up with Corona, aren't we? But I will still mention it because I see and I hear what people write about Sweden. It sounds like it's complete Wild West here, but it's not. we are good at keeping social distance normally. I don't know what my neighbors are called in my staircase, which is the typical Swedish social distancing. But we tend to keep to ourselves also. We we never go too close to strangers normally, and so we basically we trained for this for 1,000 years to keep our distance. But now we do try to keep 2 meters, and people are abiding by it best they can, because they know if they don't, it will be a lockdown here like in so many other places. So it's basically either we make this work, and of course there are people who don't get it, but I'm afraid they wouldn't get it otherwise either. But we keep social distancing. The max cap of people that are allowed to be congregating together is 50. So there are no concerts. But restaurants, cafes, everything is open. But they enforce the rule of social distancing. Otherwise, the bar will be closed down until they learn the lesson. So I'd say it's going fairly well. But it's on the other hand, we do have a lot of people who are fallen ill to this, and a lot of mortality. So only time will tell, where this ends. But the best we can do is, to think smart and to keep some distance to each other. And also, this is why I'm online here and trying to, kill my time doing something I normally don't, which is sit and blub on, Facebook. But it's actually, it's interesting to try it at least. Because as most of you are aware, I'm the singer in NETHERBIRD. I'm also the singer in another death metal oriented band called RIKET, and neither band can do any gigs, and not in the foreseeable future. So we have a lot of time on our hands that we didn't usually have. So we'll try different ways of interacting, and just being there if people are bored or isolated, because we've been fortunate in Sweden when it comes to not having so much enforced isolation, but still we, like most others, are more or less sitting at home. Greetings from a surprisingly warm Moscow. Well, Moscow is normally it's warmer than Stockholm in the summer and colder in the winter. Beautiful city. Terrible situation in Russia as well when it comes to this stuff. But I mean, we're all in the same boat, and basically we can, we only have to do our best to get through it, I think. And in Texas, everything is open, which is concerning me, but I guess we shall see. Yeah, I mean, the problematic thing with, everyone is an expert. On Facebook, everyone is an expert, and I'm of course also an expert. Problem is that we will not know what is the best avenue of approaching this. We will know that in 5 and 10 years. And so for the next pandemic, if it's a similar virus, then we know. But yeah, I guess, it's this tough and nasty trade-off between, the economy and keeping the society rolling financial-wise, and the trade-off with how many people can get infected and receive proper treatment. So I'm happy not to be a politician these days and having to make that trade. Are we creating new music? RIKET, the death metal band, we have just finally mixed and mastered a new EP called Ofärder. I can talk about that next time, I think. That will be out. We are talking to some labels, and we'll finalize that, and it will be out 2 months from now, maybe. NETHERBIRD is in the process of starting to write for a new album. NETHERBIRD it's a complicated process, or not complicated. It's actually quite easy. We write songs, write lyrics, we arrange it, we record it, we release it. But it's an established band and we have labels and so forth. So the process from us starting to make the album until it's out there with videos and everything, it takes a lot of energy and focus. So in order to do it right, we will always have to be, months ahead in planning. So I think if everything falls out the way we want to, there will be a new NETHERBIRD album next year. The sad part is that we haven't been able to do any live gigs or touring on the current album, Into the Vast Uncharted, which sucks because we would love that. And actually, a lot of songs would have been great to perform live, but yeah, currently that's not happening. All that was planned for this year is basically pushed into the future. So next year will be more busy, if it's possible then to finally perform live. We'll be well rehearsed by then, and it's boring, but I mean it's the same for all bands. And feel free to write questions in the chat. You're free to ask whatever, and I will try to. I have an opinion about everything. I don't have the expertise in much, but you will get an answer, and it might be something that I will regret dearly, or that you will laugh at. But I will try to answer. So you can try me. And last time when I was sitting here, I really didn't have any agenda. I don't have an agenda today either, because I mean it's just me. I'm just a guy like anyone else, a metalhead who is incarcerated in our own home, hoping for things to be a little bit better so we can drink beer together and go and see good shows. But in any case, what I feel I really would like to, if you guys would humor me, is if you could post like 1 or 2 or 3 local bands from where you are that you think I should check out. I mean, I don't know much about the El Salvadorian scene. I know a little bit about the Russian, but not so much. I have some friends who are in bands in Moscow. But if you could just suggest this is a local band that I think you should check out, because I will present that sort of bands from Sweden and the Stockholm scene mainly, but Swedish scene. But it's always cool to see what's happening in the underground elsewhere. Don't take the obvious bands. I mean, if you're British, you don't have to mention Iron Maiden. But a new Iron Maiden that started out last year would be cool. So feel free to, or just ask whatever. My question to you guys is if you've seen the Catatonia live stream, because Catatonia guys are just like anyone else, bored and unable to tour, and they have a new album out. And they did what not so many bands have done so far. They put on a live stream and they charge, I think, 10 euros, 10 bucks for it, which is not a lot of money. And you can see it afterwards. And I haven't seen it yet. Did any one of you guys see it? Because I think it can be interesting. Usurper, cool. Could you also post a link to like a YouTube or like a Spotify, whatever? Because I'm lazy and stupid, so I want to find the right one, not best Finnish black metal band. Oh fuck, that's hard. There are actually so many, but I think Horna is a really cool band, and Para is a really close favorite of mine, I have to say. Para with double A. I will try to post some links to that. The Finnish scene it's big and it's ever growing, and it also differ a little bit from the Swedish one. So I think you can almost always hear, either they're more melodic or they are harsher, because their black metal it's really black. I like it. It's pitch black. Now here's a question about new bands taking element about the old sound of Swedish death metal. What do you think? The old school, in my opinion, was more organic. Yes, you are right. The old school Swedish death metal sound, I mean, basically it was about a certain distortion pedal, the HM2, but it was also a certain amplifier, and I've seen it with my own eyes in Sunlight Studio. It was actually a PV amplifier. Those two in combination with Thomas Skogsberg, who managed to, along with the guys he was working with, I mean, the guys in Dismember, the guys in Entombed are all extremely talented. So together they sort of found this sound, but they recorded it on tape most of the time without click tracks and stuff. So things were a little bit more organic in that sense. And these days, the sound might be the same, but it's recorded digitally with click tracks and stuff. And it's hard to mimic, you know, the various tempos and stuff in how things were recorded in the old days. So I agree. Sound-wise, it might be the same, but I think there's also a difference. Now this is philosophy, but I think, and I think also back to, you know, 1,000 years back when I started out, we played as fast as we could, or as brutal as we could. We didn't have so many. We couldn't, you know, watch a YouTube video with someone showcasing gravity blasts. First off, no one did gravity blasts, but also there were no fucking YouTube. So we had to sort of listen and try to figure shit out, and then we tried to do stuff the most brutal way we could. And a lot of the albums from those days, people play maybe 10% over their capability. Today, people are so fucking skilled, so when they mimic that sound, they're playing under their capability. People are so fast and so well rehearsed, so it's sort of, they are not, you know, risking it by doing something they almost can't pull off, like at least my bands did. We went in there and played a little bit faster than we were capable of, and we hoped for a good take, and so we got something. So I think in a way things have changed, but I mean, it's not for the, I mean, I guess it's good progress that people are more and more skilled, but I think bands don't risk so much. First off, they can do another take and they can punch in and cut and paste whatever. We couldn't cut and fucking paste. You had to, you know, do it. You had to be well rehearsed, and if there were an error, you had to sort of, will anybody notice? If they didn't, you leave it there, because otherwise you had to like retract the shit, at least, especially on drums, but also on bass and guitars. It was hard to make a cut on tape because it needs a little bit of time to speed up. Hence it's a little bit shakier, because that was the best take you could get away with. And today you just do it again and again and again until it's perfect. And I think sometimes perfect is not perfect. To play something flawless is not always the way to make it sound the best. But, you know. But I'm old school. I mean, there are technical death metal bands today that, you know, they could take whatever I do and they could pull it off so easily because they're so fucking skilled, and they are like athletes. For me, that is one way to do it. Another one is to, you know, play a little bit over your capabilities, but these guys can't, because they can play whatever. Fucking, I'm talking a lot. Local Chicago bands, among others. Cool. There are some suggestions. Insomnium. You saw the Insomnium Necrophobic show. They were good, but without crowd noise. Kind of strange. Yeah, I agree. Because I think the music we all love is music that is in your face, and it's supposed to make your ears, you know, hurt a little bit, and air move, and people, you know, and you can't really get that through a live stream. But I guess maybe it's better than nothing. But for me, it's a little bit like watching porn rather than, you know, have a good time. But then again, maybe it's better than nothing. Sure, you can't live on memories alone. Yeah. But also, I mean, this is new. Bands have been, you know, practicing and playing live for, I mean, some of the bands, I mean, Insomnium Necrophobic, they are super professional live acts. And they're new to this new medium. So maybe in a year we will all be much better. And maybe also as an audience, we have sort of gotten into it. I think a plus thing, which actually I haven't thought about it in a long time, but the live streams are open even to people who are not 18 or 21. So, and a lot of, at least for me, when I started to go to shows, I was 14, 15. But I wouldn't be allowed today if I was 14 to go and see a gig, because it's like 18-year limit in Sweden. And that sucks, because nobody loves a band more than you do when you're a teenager. So it sucks that. So maybe they can at least see the live clips, and I guess that's good. But that's cool. A couple of bands. Oh, Richard Cabeza. Cool. Good dude. Don't know him personally, but utter respect for the stuff he has made and the bands he is in. It's great. Just keep posting stuff so you guys share it. And I mean, this live stream, whatever, it's also going to be there afterwards. So hopefully people who see it in afterwards can also post stuff, so we can discover new bands. Because I discover a lot of stuff through Spotify, which is awesome. But there are very few Ukrainian underground black metal bands that just pop up there, and I know they're out there, and I'm sure the next cool thing might be from there, or from Moscow, or Vladivostok, or San Francisco, a new Bay Area of black metal. Who knows? So, or Botswana, whatever. I mean, there's cool bands everywhere these days. So, and Spotify does a lousy job suggesting those. We need to help each other out to find them. And this is Coca-Cola in the guise of Guinness. So cheers to you guys. And thanks for tuning in. I will not just lie to you, so I will actually start with, bands you should check out. But I will start with bands that I've already mentioned in previous episodes. And the first one was also the first guest we had. It was Carl from a band called Diabolical. Diabolical is a Swedish death metal band. I would call it death metal. They might argue now that they are, beyond death metal. It's extreme metal in various forms, and sure. They for sure are not a stagnant band. They constantly evolve, I think, through every release. And I'm always, surprised that the stuff they do, also the production is fucking phenomenal. I will post the links to the bands I mentioned, but Diabolical, I think, and they've been around for a long time, and still they haven't really, made it to the biggest stages, but they keep touring, and I think they are hardworking and also creative. Not the last album. The current album is out now on indie records, but the previous one, Neo Genesis, it also came with a book. So it's a book with a soundtrack, which is the album, and I think it's they really try to think outside the box and push things forward. I think that's cool. So Diabolical, definitely one of the bands you should check out. And if you become interested, there is a previous episode where Carl is there. He speaks a little bit about Diabolical, but also about an art project he's doing. So that's really cool. Check it out. Second, and I think if you want to say something nasty in the chat to Jacob, Kvän, Swedish, I would say black metal, but it's black metal with various hints of other stuff. It's Kvaen, but it's pronounced Kvän. Northern parts of Sweden. Funeral Pyre is the album. It's out on Black Lion Records. I really loved it. Sometimes a new band gets everything right, and also they are a bit lucky, so they get picked up by Spotify, and they have a label that pushes it. So it sort of came out of nowhere, despite that Jacob, the main guy who writes almost everything and performs almost everything, because he can do that. I don't like talented people, but he's experienced and stuff. But sometimes everything is just is right from the very beginning. And this is a debut album, and it sounds so solid, and just good and versatile and unique enough to stand out, yet true to you know, the old school melodic black metal stuff. So it feels like you know, I mean, it feels familiar, but it doesn't feel boring. Really cool stuff. And so cheers to Jacob, who is, at least he passed through. Well, he said thank you, Gubbe, which means that you're awesome. It really doesn't mean that, but it's okay. Yeah, but it's I'm not saying it just because Jacob is an awesome dude. Then I would say that, you know, he has a band that's pretty cool, but this is cool. And it's so of course it helps when people are also nice people. I wouldn't suggest bands with people I dislike. I don't dislike so many people, actually, come to think of it. But I mean, if they really hated me and let me know that, then I might not suggest them. Or I would anyway. Good music doesn't matter. That's for another episode. But that's, you know, do we have to love the musician behind the album? To me, it's very debatable. Because I'm not electing a musician for president. I'm listening to an album. And I don't know what opinions people had who made my sofa either. But it's a good sofa and I like it. Maybe that is to make it too simple. And sometimes I don't agree with myself here. But sometimes I also think we maybe should focus on the music. Because there's so much we can never really know about, you know, the artists. First off, many times it's a band with people who don't know everything about each other either. I mean, if somebody would pick up some old info on a member of NETHERBIRD, current or previous, I might not, you know, agree with that or think it's right or whatever, and I might not even be aware. Does that reflect the music we make? I'm not 100% sure. Does it matter if you like the music? But it depends, of course. I am a hypocrite, so I don't live by that myself. There are things that will make me stop listening to a band for sure, but I haven't really thought about it. I like Bursum, but Varga, well, that's my most obvious case also. I mean, Bursum is extremely influential to me and really an interesting musical sort of, as an artist. He created stuff. As a thinker and as a person, no, we don't have much to talk about. I don't think so. I don't know the guy. I never met him, but I don't think we share so much. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I really cannot unhear music that has affected me in a positive way. Third band I need to mention, and if you guys were here last time, you heard about this band too, but I start with the bands that I already mentioned because I promised that I will not just throw stuff out there. It's Sort of Misery. Swedish, a bit more technical death metal. I sing on the EP, which of course makes that EP fan-fucking-tastic. No, it doesn't, but I sing on it, and it's a fantastic EP, but it's not only thanks to my singing, which is I'm pretty proud of, but still. Harris, who is the guy behind the band, he is just fucking creative and really skilled. He's one of these guitarists that I don't know where they get it from. Well practiced, but also talent. But when I heard those demo songs and he contacted me, I was really, really positively surprised, and I thought, yeah, fuck, I will try. For me, it was hard to do it because it's rhythmically a bit more challenging than what I'm used to. But it was great fun, and from that EP, he has progressed into and created an album now, which is coming out, 2 singles out, which I think is even better. So it's top-notch stuff, and it's death metal, a little bit more to the technical side. Well worth checking up. I will see. Now I will be internety and just scan this. All my assistants they have a day off, so I have to do it myself. Terry, Netherbird is fucking awesome. Terry, you are awesome. Thank you. Of course, I am happy that you like it. And we strive hard to become a better band with each release. And I think we started to find our way on Ferocious Tides of Fate and Grander Voyage, and the previous one feels like we have started to find our voice. Next album will be something in that vein, but it will never be the same album because I don't want to release the same album over and over, because we already made an album like that. So we will try to add stuff. But yeah, once read in the article that it helps a band with success if they are likable. Don't know. I'm an introvert and I don't really know, have a need to like them as long as they love what they do. I find that more important. Jane, I think introverts can be extremely likable. I think that wasn't what you said, but I think so. A lot of bands, surprisingly many of the members are more introverted than they seem. That is also why being on stage can be a lot more taxing to most bands than, I mean, they're just good at theater, I suppose. I might not be the most introverted in NETHERBIRD, but I'm certainly maybe not as extrovert as some people might perceive me. But I think, yes, likable, I think helps. Likable in the sense that you're a person who take your music seriously, but also are good to the people you work with. You are nice to your audience. Most artists are that. Not all, actually. Some actually can have a pretty shitty opinion, especially abroad, where they might, at least pretend they don't care. But equally important is that you're, good to deal with for the organizer, the other bands, technicians. The biggest rock stars are the smallest bands. I mean, the more mature or the bigger a band, normally the more down to earth and relaxed people become, because they don't have so much to prove all the time. I certainly have matured both as I grow a bit older, but also as, we have reached at least a certain level of success with what we do. When I was 17, I was the best goddamn death metal growler in the world. And now I realize that I wasn't. And also, whoever you meet as a musician, I mean, the sound guy you meet, and he will not be, or she will not be impressed, because they've met far bigger artists that had far better attitude. So I think at least you shouldn't be an asshole. I think that helps. But I think it's really hard to say for sure. But I know a lot of people in the scene, and of course, if bands are extremely rude or tough to talk to, bookers and others might not like them as much. They might still book them if they pull a crowd, but they might not be as generous as they could be, or whatever. I mean, but I think it goes in all fields, that if you are good at what you do, you don't have to, be an asshole to people in order to gain respect, whatever. That's normally what you do if you don't really have what it takes, maybe. I think most people, I mean, if you think you have what it takes, most certainly you don't, and vice versa. I mean, to be a bit modest, it's not so bad, actually, because reality checks, they come anyway. The fourth band, I will go to the chat a little bit later, but I have a band that I've been close to for many, many years. Many years. That's a little bit over an overstatement, but at least for 5 years, and that's more or less as long as they existed. And it's a Swedish, used to be, I would say, black and roll. These days maybe more, well, we can ask ourselves, but they're called Wormwood, and I think they've made the first album. First they made an EP, which I really liked. They made an album which is like jam-packed with really cool tunes, and then they released a new album called NETHERBIRD, which was a little bit more, I would say, ambitious, and it took me a little bit longer to get into, and now I'm completely, head over heels fucking into that album. But But since I'm a fortunate person, I know some people. So instead of talking about Wormwood, I will bring Nine along, who is the vocalist, also in another band called Withershin. But we'll get to that. But now we'll see if this works, because now I'm going to do this internet thing. Hey, you might be muted. You are connecting to audio. We'll see what happens. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Whoa. Hey, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
It's all good.
Yeah.
I talk about this and that, and you know, you met me. You know, you are the only person who speaks as much as I do, actually.
Well, yeah, for good and bad, I guess.
But first off, let's start with the T-shirt you're wearing, because that's an FS T-shirt.
It sure is. So shout out to FS, Italian, Swedish black band now residing here in Stockholm.
Yep, it's really cool. Thanks for taking time. I mean, we all we're at home, but we are still busy with other stuff. And I know you have a lot of things on your plate, and we'll see how much you will spill the beans about that. But I remember first time, I don't know if it was the first time I met you, but I think you, this was in the Withershin time. So it must have been, I don't know, but you were moving like amplifiers across an industrial area.
Yeah, it was it Scarecrow?
Yeah.
I think we were there with our bass player Oscar.
Yeah.
And we were moving stuff, and then we saw, I think it was your old guitarist who was there, and he like mentioned, "Oh, I really like your EP." Like, thank you. I guess I'm sure your band is good too. And then he said, like we're looking for a band for joining for a tour. Would you be interested? Like, sure. Yeah, you're just gonna talk to the guys, and the rest is history. Then you and I met somewhere in downtown and spoke.
And from that point on, we had a few beers, and we've spoken a lot throughout the ages. And sadly, we also did go on that tour.
Yeah, I mean, the mental scars will, remain scars, but hopefully something has healed.
Absolutely. No, yeah, but it was great fun. But I mean, we can't speak about all the details. But it was. I mean, if you don't know each other after touring, you'll never get to know each other. So yeah. But Withershin, because that was the band you were in when I got to know you, and exactly. That's also on my list of highly recommended bands. The links will come. Can you just tell me a little bit about Withershin before we go into? Well, actually, we'll go back to Withershin, I guess, but a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Withershin?
Yeah, sure. So Withershin was started in 2006. So it was then with his son and Hex. They joined, and then later Sek joined. So then they were a trio, but they didn't have any vocalists. So then a vocalist called, I think, Joachim Trana or Trana, something.
Could be.
And he joined for a demo, but he didn't last that long. And then I was pretty new into the game. I had lived in Stockholm for like 6 years. They found, I think it was the old website Vandolin.
Yeah. Where musicians were seeking for musicians. Yeah.
It was like Craigslist, but more desperate.
Exactly, and less pay.
Yes, much less. So anyway, so they contacted me, and I'd never done black metal vocals before. So then I did some tryouts in 2007, and after a few rehearsals, they were like, "Yeah, we want you in the band," and yeah. And then we recorded in 2008 Ashen Banners at the and Darker.
Yeah. And
then the EP that we all like in 2010 at the Necromorbus with Sverker.
Yeah, that's the old days. Yeah.
So that was 10 years ago.
The
release.
Time flies, right? But actually, Withershin has been sort of dormant for some years, right? But things are, you guys have recently started to at least think about getting the band up and running again, right?
Yeah, I think this is the, for whomever it might concern, will be the official announcement that we have started again with Withershin. We have are rehearsing, and yeah, I mean, we're hoping to play next year, and we'll see what happens. Some new, some old, some shit, some good. You know, it is our 15-year anniversary next year, so yeah. So hopefully,
yeah,
it sounds really good. So now we have a new drummer. We have Daniel Johansson from Wormwood is behind the drums, and it's nice to have someone young and eager.
he's a fucking beast. You know it quite well. I don't like talented people so much.
No, me neither.
No.
That's why you and I hang out.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, finally we can, relax, because there's, I mean, us together, it's not half the talent Daniel has in like his right hand. So yeah.
So I guess I can officially go out with that he's fired from both bands. Now I think of it. So
oh, good. I mean, this is good web content. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Hey, Daniel.
Yeah. He will never hear about it because you spoke in the wrong media. But
it's true.
Yeah, but one day. But I am happy that Withershin are back, because I think it's one of the vital bands, and I think, I mean, you guys were awesome. I had the privilege of, watching you play everything from very small venues to semi-small venues along with us. But I mean, you put on a show each night, and I think it's raw and it's real and it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's lacking now. I mean, I think for every year there's always a band of whatever you want it to be, but it still has this underground feeling that maybe is people are craving. I mean, we're not a big band by any stretch of the imagination, but we are like a solid, good underground Swedish black metal, which has a nice ring to it.
It really does, and it's really cool. So I urge anyone who is looking now or will look afterwards to check up Withershin. But you're also in another band which has risen to quite some acclaim, actually. I mean, Wormwood, because you released an album. It's not that long ago, and it really resounded with both audience and critics and whatnot. Can you tell me a little bit, or the listeners rather, spectators, whatever they are, the internet.
The ones and zeros.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we released NETHERBIRD via Black Lodge. Was it last year? Yeah, last year, last March. It's 2020. How about that? And yes, and it somehow it really grew on people. It wasn't a smack hit, as you said before. It took a few listens to really get into.
It did.
It is one of those albums which I think about NETHERBIRD. It takes a few listens because there are like details, there are things that you need to you need to look for them to find them. They're not in your face. And and we have black metal as a base, and we have some folk atmospheric. It's very melancholic, very Swedish, and somehow that resonates to people. And much praise to Black Lodge for really doing a great job for promoting us. And so it is a mix between us releasing a good album and they believing in us.
Yeah. And I mean, you never know. I mean, I know Black Lodge, they try every time, but some products are just, you get traction, and some products you don't. And obviously something in NETHERBIRD stuck. And I thought, I wasn't surprised, because it's a really good album, but it demands more of the listener than the first one. But at the same time, bands like Opeth and so on are also difficult. I wouldn't say that you guys are.
But they have been difficult for a very long time.
Yeah, well, and in my opinion, they're not that good. But I really,
my opinion too.
Yeah, yeah. That's another episode. No, but I mean, people obviously are able to put more effort into listening, and I mean, you guys really, I mean, you got some attention in Swedish radio and stuff, and that doesn't happen every day for an extreme metal band. So I mean, something there was just right. And sadly, this pandemia shit made, I mean, a lot of cancellations or postponement happen. But
oh yeah, I mean, this would have by far been our biggest year to date when it comes to live gigs. You know, playing on Sweden Rock Festival. You know,
a big thing.
Many bands have been playing there, and many bands have not and will not. And we will be in the large few that would have. You know? But you know, we shouldn't complain because you know there are people that will lose more than we don't live out of the music in that sense. So you know, we can still survive and we can focus on new stuff. And you know, so it's not the end of the world. It's just you know, you want to play, you want to perform, you want to show off your product that you're so happy and satisfied with to the people that you know feel you know the same towards you. So
actually someone here was saying that 9 you should definitely come to Brazil, so that's good. You should. Okay, so we have a question here. This is the difficult one, so I'll state it to us both. Bathory or Celtic Frost?
Okay, I'm gonna burn some bridges as I usually do. The only reason, well, not the only, but the big reason why I would say Celtic Frost or Celtic Frost.
Yeah, we really want to hear that.
It's because you know, one of my favorite bands have taken inspiration from that band. So Therion, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so to me, Therion is a really good album, but you know, still, Celtic Frost was before my time, and same with the Bathory. So I heard them later on, but I enjoy both in different ways. It depends on what I want.
The diplomatic answer, yeah, but
it depends what I want to listen to. I mean, I think overall, I might give the edge to. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say Celtic, because for me it's I'm not so very torn because Bathory made the most important album I ever heard, which is Twilight of the Gods. For me personally, I was 16 at the time, and that album rewired me. But not without going into details, Celtic Frost is a little bit of a sensitive issue for me personally. But I mean, all the respect for all those, you know, groundbreaking bands. I mean, fuck, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't sound the way we sound if it wasn't for Tom and for Quathon. Sure. I mean, we wouldn't. So, but it's a good question. I like this, you know.
Put us on the spot. It's good.
Yeah. Cold Lake. Jacobs Björnfoot asked about Cold Lake, the album that never happened. If you ask Tom,
the most influential album, so people know how not to create an album ever made.
Exactly. And actually, it will serve as like a template for you and me when we make our glam band. Yeah, it's gonna be 100% actually rip off.
So this is the third announcement we're doing now.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah. Oh, and Jake, he keeps stuff coming here. Favorite dissection album? I can start. For me, it's the Somberlane because that's the one I heard first, and also, to me, it's the coldest. I mean, I love Storm of Light Spain, and now after some years, decades, I did understand finally Ring Chaos, but Somberlane for me.
Yeah, Somberlane for me too. But it's again, I mean, I'm not as old as you one. So, you know, but I was still quite late, into the black metal scene. I didn't really go into black metal, maybe until I was 20, a bit over 20, so maybe 2005, 6-ish. But I still heard Dissection in '96, but it wasn't like the band that really, I had other bands, but Somber Lane.
Yeah. Here comes one of these. It's so nice when people who don't know you at all asks questions. So a certain Walter here, he asked, 9, name 3 of your favorite contemporary black death metal bands and explain why Para is one of them.
Well, I can mention one, and they're called Para. And again, I mean, it's a pretty interesting story about Para. I mean, me and Natalie knew each other a bit before, and then I would hear the first, demos of Para, or the new Para, and I was totally blown away. Everything from Mika's wonderful melancholic Finnish folkish vocals to Jukka's fucking agonizing screaming and Teppo's drumming, and and Natalie's ethereal voice in the background. Everything just clicked for me. And from that first thing I heard with Para, I will forever be a fucking diehard fan. And it's like I don't need more bands at the moment. Para works for me. It's fine.
Okay, so though Para is the 3 best bands contemporary.
Yes, true.
Okay, yeah, I buy that. Yeah, but I mentioned them before without being provoked by Walter, and to me also they stick out. And me and Bismarck in NETHERBIRD, we're normally the ones writing the stuff, and we don't have many bands in common that we just this is fucking amazing. But one of them is Para. They are annoyingly good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a bit offended now when I think about it.
Please let them know that they offend people. Not just you, but also your friends are offended. They're that good. Yeah. Dave asks, best bolt thrower record. Easy, War Master.
Okay, well, I guess I'm being put on the spot here again. I'm not super into bolt thrower, but what the fuck? The album with the Kill Shane. For those, shit. The Kill Shane album.
Yeah, the Kill Shane. Which album is that on? That's one of the more recent one. Is it the Mercenary?
No, for those. Fuck, I don't remember. I don't really listen to both of that much because I'm sorry, I think there are better alternatives.
Yep, that's okay. It's an acceptable opinion because it's an opinion. I am a huge bolt throw fan, but it's because when I got into this stuff, there weren't that many bands, and bolt throw was one of the most brutal. And so I heard Realm of Chaos, and then War Master, and but I have to say there are many. Those albums are the ones I listen to the most. In Battle There Is No Law, when I finally got hold of a copy, but one of those bands also that did quit, and I think sometimes there is beauty in calling it quits and just leave it there, leave the legacy. So
and then to go back to Celtic Frost, and that's why I really like Triptychon maybe a bit more than Celtic Frost, because they took what I thought was the best from Celtic Frost and then did it a bit darker and slower and more Tom.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't that kind of cool? Rather than doing something where you twist the brand or the band concept into something it was never meant to be. I think that's cool for those ones loyal, because Jay has a brain. Yeah,
there you go. Yes, that's the one. But again, I'm the wrong person to ask about bolt thrower stuff because
I think it's okay. No, but seriously, I mean, this is one of the things that I think you and me have in common, is that we don't care so much about, you know, what you're allowed to think or what you must think, because there's this, you know, metal mafia that will correct you. But I say fuck that. I mean, make up your own mind, damn it. This is like freedom music, and then you're not allowed to like whatever you like. That's stupid.
Well, I mean, you're talking to the guy who's been, you know, being fucking shunned and treated like a paria since '96 for liking and loving Therion. So, you know.
Not by me.
No.
I respect you for that. I'm also a huge Therion fan. Not as huge as you. I don't even try. But
yeah, it's not healthy for you.
But health is overrated.
That's true.
But definitely. So that was some questions from the chat. This is opinion about Sarcophago. I can't really say more than the fact that I respect them for being very early, and for, you know, like Volcano. I mean, bands that
Brazilian, right?
Yeah, that sort of. I mean, it took more than. I mean, to be honest, to start an extreme metal band in Sweden, it's not that difficult. But to do the same thing in Brazil in the 80s, I mean, that required something else. They are tougher than I could ever be.
Yeah, I have no opinion.
But what I think you have an opinion about is what is happening in the future with Wormwood. What can you tell us?
What can I tell you? I can tell you that we have started with our new album, our third full length. And I can't really tell you more than we're hoping to release it next year.
Oh, but that's cool.
It will a new theme, a new. It will be Wormwood. It will be thrice as good as NETHERBIRD.
That is a good mission statement, I must say, because I have to say I look forward to hearing it, because I know that you guys are progressing from each album, and that is something I'm pretty sure you guys will keep on doing, because Tobbe, who writes a lot of the stuff, is an ever evolving musician.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty nice dynamic. I mean, I'm not saying that we're unique in any way. As sure as you know how NETHERBIRD works. You're not unique how it works, but you know it works for you. But it's not also the most healthy way to maybe create stuff. And for us in Wormwood, we have Ryketet Tobias, who writes 95% of everything. But then we have the juggernaut Daniel behind the drums, who is, even though he doesn't write it the way Tobias does, he knows how to compose it and create, like, this is how we can maximize whatever feeling, or let's move this part here, and this is, and they two together work really, really well, while I set the foundation with the lyrics and maybe the feeling and maybe how the vocal orchestration and such will be.
And I also, I mean, now we're rubbing each other's balls here a little bit, but fuck it. It's
nice balls.
It's good balls, but I really like your lyric work. As you know, I told you, even sober. But you pay attention to lyrics. It's so there's, I mean, you can delve into the lyrical sort of concepts of the songs you write and discover a lot of stuff there too. And I think I really hope that people will pay attention and do that, because there's depth there that I like.
But that's also something that you and I are quite like, because I, at least you can have the that you have the illusion of playing bass. At least I have no illusion of any instrument at all. I don't even know which way how to hold a guitar. So I have honed my skill in writing lyrics instead of trying to, in a older age, try to learn, fucking guitar or something. So yes, so thank you. So I'm satisfied with, how I write. That I'm not the most unique, but it works for whatever I'm trying to create, at least.
Yeah, but that's cool. We have a question here that I think I know what you're gonna answer, Nine. So I will ask.
Ethereum.
Okay. Humor me. Thomas Skogsberg, Peter Tätgren, or Dan Swane?
There's only one, and it's our Lord and Savior, Dan Swane.
Yeah. I don't know Peter. I met him, but I don't know him. Thomas, I know and respect and like. I never met Dan Swane, but to be honest, the person who has shaped my life the most is Dan through his productions. I'm not a big fan of Edgesanity. That's a long dialogue about that, but I read an interview that put me off, so I never really discovered them. But I happen to know that you, Nine, you are quite an Edgesanity fan.
Yeah, and again, I am quite a new Edgesanity fan. I didn't listen to Edgesanity until maybe first time was maybe 2003 or something. I remember hearing Purgatory Afterglow when I was in my first band in Stockholm called Heretic. Awful shit. But then it took like maybe, I'd say, 8-10 years to really find my love for Edgesanity again. And I think Dan is the uncrowned king of extreme metal, maybe one of the most influential people alive in extreme metal.
I would say so too. I will just explain why I was put off. This was in, I don't know, 91, 92, because you read fanzines then, because you didn't have like internet, and you couldn't, ask people on Facebook what is the right thing to think here. So instead you read shitty little paper copied magazines that people made in their basement, literally. And in one of those, there was an interview with Swane, and they asked him, so what can you tell us about the drums, blah, blah, blah. And he said, we have a real drummer, so we don't use double bass drums. And that was it for me. Because
hey då.
Because and I don't know, maybe he was just cranky, or maybe he even did mean it. And these days, I don't give a fuck. But right then, double bass drums was the absolute coolest thing ever. So, and I missed the train. So, but I will... out of respect for you and others, always are nagging me, I will get into and listen to Edgesanity, but I missed out for 30 years thanks to an interview.
But almost. This is not really unrelated, but we have a mutual friend which shall not be named, but he didn't go to an Indian restaurant for 30 years because he read an article in the beginning of the 90s that said that the kitchen were dirty. He's like, I guess I can't eat there then.
Okay. Yeah, if it reaches you at the wrong time, it will affect you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any final words that to check out your bands, that's mandatory.
Closing words would be more, Withershin will, have start again, and we'll see if there will be new releases or if there will just be whatever. At least we will try to play live at least once next year if we survive. And Wormwood, we are creating a new album. I'm also involved with Teppo, the drummer from Para, in a new project called Vara. And so more information there. There's also some other projects that I actually can't talk about. So, but I'll keep you guys posted to whoever care.
Yeah, that's cool. And once again, thank you for taking time. It's always a pleasure, even though we usually hang out and drink and talk, not always with spectators or whatever. But it's really appreciated. And
no worries, man. Yeah, take care, man.
Man.
Bye.
Bye. and since I'm this internet expert now, I will try to start to wrap it up. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will try to answer. So there you got 2 more bands on my list, because I mentioned 3 bands so far today. It's Diabolical, Kven, Sodomisery, Withershin, and Wormwood. That's 5 bands that I think are top-notch stuff that, of course, a lot of people know about, but not enough people know about. And if we can use a platform to communicate this way, some of you will discover it, then I'm extremely happy, actually, because I think we all benefit so much from sharing the hard work of all those talented bands that we would most likely miss out if it wasn't for the true underground where we spread the word. I will do this stuff now and then, and I am, like I said in the beginning, I'm learning this as we go along. So I mean, that it's not going to be a super top-notch production. It's just me basically with a computer and a microphone, trying to make sense of it and trying to give you some tips and hints. The more questions you guys give, the easier it is for me to provide whatever answers or insights or thoughts that you might be interested in. Otherwise, I will just shoot as I do. But thank you so much for being here, and I really hope that you guys do take care, wash your hands, keep social distance, keep the spirits up, and keep sharing music and keep enjoying music, and keep staying in touch. I will be online again next week, and hopefully then again with a guest whom I think you guys should get to know a little bit better. Take care. See ya.